Good evening and welcome to northern Italy and the hospitable city of Reggio Emilia. And this very, very noisy home stadium of theirs, the Palabigi, just around 4,500 in this stadium. And Massimiliano Minetti and the rest of the Reggio Emilia team will be hoping to have some home comforts as they look to book themselves a first ever EuroCup semi-final place. They reached the quarterfinals as long ago as 2006. Massimiliano Minetti, their coach, was on the coaching staff that year. Can they take that next step? They won the first game pretty handily, but then went to Russia to take on Zenit St Petersburg, and it was all going according to script at half-time. But then they fell away. Zenit looked like they finally managed to work out their opponents. And they just piled on the points, 56 points in that second half, and they too ended up winning by 14 points, 91 to 77. So the two teams know each other very well. They know their strengths. They know what they're capable of. Is this one going to go defensively for the home side, or will it go offensively for the visitors from Russia? It's a fascinating battle in prospect. Two teams that have been as far as the quarterfinal in the EuroCup, but no further. One of them can make the next step tonight. Waiting them in that semi-final, Lokomotiv Kuban Krasnodar. That's for another day. Right now, these two teams have to take care of business. Zenit have to do something to take this crowd out of the equation, because there may only be 4,500 of them, but they are very vocal. Darüşşafaka and Lokomotiv Kuban Krasnodar prevailed 2-0 against Budućnost and Gran Canaria. Bayern Munich and Unix Kazan will sort things out also this evening. There is the potential for 3 Russian teams in the last 4, but also potential for 4 different countries to be represented as well. The Italian flag being flown by Grissin Bon Reggio Emilia. Nestled in northern Italy between Bologna to the south and Parma to the northwest. It's a small city, but it's a proud city, and it's passionate about its basketball team. They do have seating for a handful of visiting fans, but it doesn't look like too many have made the trip from Zenit, as Massimiliano Minetti has done everything he can do. A guy that's been in and out of this team for 20 years now. Very much part of their DNA. As I say, was on the coaching staff in 2006. Let's hear from him.
Do really simple things, okay? Be focused on one-on-one situation, be focused on rebounds, be focused on defense in transition, and play together for 40 minutes, okay? Ci siamo.
That was just a few moments ago in the locker room. And he's absolutely right to point out that they've got to avoid turnovers, because Vasily Karasev's men really profited in that second game from turnovers. Let's turn the clock back and listen to what he had to say.
After the second game, we did just one small step. Today, we must do another step. And you saw, in third and fourth quarter, we won 18 points. When we start play aggressive defense and run like a team. And when we run it, we have a lot of options, you know. For big guys from trees, you know, under the basket, and you score by yourself.
Well, the guy sat alongside Vasily Karasev then, reading his notes as the players get introduced, was Evgeny Voronov. And there he was coming through. He was the star of that Game 2 win, an unlikely star as well, with the EuroCup highs of 22 points and 8 rebounds. They will have to keep an eye on him, and whilst Voronov was getting on track, so too was their big player there, number 24, Kyle Kuric, ended up with 16 points, having been virtually blanked in Game 1 on this court. He managed just 1 triple. So can Reggio Emilia shut down Kuric. The officiating crew is led by Fernando Rocha of Portugal. We'll be seeing plenty of them. And here's Julian Wright coming through, followed by Leo Candy, and their big playmaker Amedeo Della Valle. He had a very quiet game in game 2 in Russia. So it's all about neutralizing the other team's weapons, and if your big guns are blanked, somebody else has to step up. Ricardo Chervi coming through there, Garrett Nevels, Pedro Jompart. Well, Massimiliano Minetti has got his team pumped up, got him on the threshold of a little bit of history. And this man here, Julian Wright, will be one of the keys for them. No question about that. As will Jalen Reynolds, who on this court in game 1 put up scary numbers, 19 points and 11 rebounds. As I say, Voronov, 22 points and 8 rebounds in the last game. Both EuroCup highs for him and Kyle Kuric, who has been averaging freakishly high numbers through the round of 16. Kuric was up in the 22.5 mark, but he got back on track in the second half, in particular of game 2. The officiating crew is led by Fernando Rocha of Portugal. There is the roster. Scotty Reynolds, Sergei Karasev will be hoping for a breakout game as well. He's been productive, the coach's son, but ready for a big one. And Malcolm Griffin, number 23, so much more effective in game 2 than he was in game 1, pulling all the strings in the backcourt. Drew Gordon will be one of their key rebounders, number 32 as well, and the experience of number 19 Marko Simonovic will be absolutely crucial as well. Doing most of his work in the paint these days, Marko, but always a threat from the wing and from the point. It's a very, very solid roster that Vasily Karasev has to work with. Shane Whittington, number 21, coming through there. There is Marko Simonovic. Evgeny Valiev just coming in there as well. There are a lot of players capable of making a contribution, but the big contributor for Reggio Emilia is this man right here, Amedeo Della Valle. Whatever happens tonight, this has been his breakout year. He has put up some sensational numbers. Can he find another big game tonight? Number 9, James White. Number 12, Chris Wright. And number 18, Pedro Jompart, were all late season acquisitions that have made a huge difference to this team, bringing a variety of qualities that have really just blended in. And Reggio Emilia at one point didn't look like they were going to qualify out of the regular season, but they did, with 2 wins in their last 2 games, and then they end up winning their group in the round of 16, 4-2, which has proved to be absolutely crucial here because it gives them home court in this deciding game. The fans will be very, very loud. They will be playing their part. It's small, it's compact. Manukar Markoishvili had a big game in game 2 in what proved to be a losing effort. Another vastly experienced player, a guy who was playing in the EuroLeague final as long ago as 15 years ago. Benetton Treviso. And if these fans can get into it and make some noise, well, it could be a tricky night for Zenit. But Vasily Karasev, I'm sure, will have said to his men, let's do what we do, and let's not worry about what the other guys do. But for 6 quarters, Reggio Emilia defensively did what they wanted to do against Zenit. It was only in the second half of that game 2 that Zenit finally managed to break free, which posed the question, really, have Zenit worked out what Reggio Emilia can do? And if they have, how will they take advantage? It is very, very simple, this one. If Zenit score up in the high 80s, which is where they usually go, they'll win this game. Reggio Emilia, we know, will always average around 75, 76, 77 points. That's what they'll probably get tonight. The question is, can they restrict Zenit to the 60s as they did in game 1, or will Zenit go into the high 80s and even into the 90s? It really does boil down to that. Fernando Rocha is aided by umpires from Poland and Slovenia this evening. And one thing those officials must be aware of course, is the influence that this crowd will try and bring. All good referees, of course, just tune that out as well. It's Reynolds will get the start in the backfield. Shane Whittington, DeMonte Harper, Kyle Kuric, and Evgeny Valiev. That's the starting quintet that Zenit are sending out. Well, they came here, they were handily beaten as well. But is that going to happen again to Zenit St Petersburg, or will they write a very different script in what is going to be the final chapter of what's been a compelling little trilogy? Jompart will get the start, Markovic-Vili, Della Valle, James White, and big Ricardo Cervi. A young man who's come through the junior system now in his mid-20s. Cervi, an absolute monster in the paint. I'll look for him to dominate. Well, the coaches have done what they can do. Now it comes down to the players. And there is Pedro Jompart, this veteran Spaniard. Never played outside of Spain until joining this team in November. And there's Ricardo Cervi as well, who literally stands out. Very, very tall man. Valiev has been in there to brought in to try and keep an eye on him, you would think. There's Shane Whittington, who had a good game in game 2, was pretty quiet in game 1, as indeed most of the Zenit players were. So it all comes down to this. A one-off decider to see who plays Lokomotiv Kuban Krasnodar in the semi-finals of the EuroCup. It's Grissin Bon Reggio Emilia in the white with the red trim against their visitors from Russia in the blue, Zenit St Petersburg. And right there, Cervi was stepping up, and he's won his first battle with Evgeny Valiev, drawing the foul. So possession remains with the home side. Della Valle. Demonte Harper staying very close to him, but they get it out to the big fellow who goes for the layup. And Ricardo Cervi opens the home side to count in this one. They started off relatively slowly in game 1. They were trailing after the first quarter, but then just pulled further and further away, and Zenit just had no answer to the defensive scheme that was getting thrown in front of them. So what can they respond with here? Kuric, oh, he's got his open man Whittington, but Whittington gets the whistle. Valiev picked up the rebound there as Cervi looks around to say, surely not me. And there is the confirmation of the push in the act of shooting. So Shane Whittington, a guy who's really big, got the size to play inside, but he can be effective outside as well, as becoming a really good three-point shooter. So he deposits his first point in this particular stadium. Yes, he really was shut out in game 1, had 3 rebounds, but did not get on the scoreboard. And he's put that right inside the first minute here. Just like that, after the foul, we are level. Let's see what Jompart can do. Jompart very much the provider on this team, doesn't rack up a lot of points. Della Valle being guarded by Demonte Harper and missing. Now interesting to see how close Harper is staying to Della Valle. That is clearly tactical. Whittington, here is Harper. He'll go for a jumper from the wing, and he's nailed it as well. Well, if there's one area that Zenit are much better than Reggio Emilia, it's three-point shooting. Reggio Emilia in this series, 30 attempts from beyond the arc, just 6 converted. All their work is done inside. Della Valle crowded out and eventually manages to get hold of Cervi, and Cervi will wait and feed Della Valle. Great hustle there and great poise from the youngster, because he was being double teamed there. Scotty Reynolds. Harper. There's all kinds of stuff going on there, and Karl Kuric just went straight through the back of Amedeo Della Valle there and gets the call against him. Now, it was a bit clumsy there from Kuric, because he just runs straight into the back of Della Valle there, and the officiating crew were right on that. Massimiliano Minetti was not very happy either. Perhaps thinking that maybe they're trying to rough up the young wizard. Jompart to Della Valle. Della Valle driving through. Harper stayed with him, and Harper's done his job once again. And that is Valiev collecting. Reynolds, and a point and shoot, and missing this time though was Demonte Harper, but they've recycled it. Whittington at the point. Reynolds being given a bit of space. Whittington's really done a great job there, baseline drive, but that's not gone down very well, has it? James White getting the call. I thought for a moment that there was an out-of-bounds call, but actually it was a little shove spotted by the officiating crew. So the inbound from Reynolds. Zenit up by 1. Kuric being very, very closely guarded there by Manu Markoishvili, and the whistle goes against the veteran Georgian. I guess we have to call him a veteran these days, in his 16th season as a pro. Extraordinary body of work this man's had. Just a kid when he was playing in the EuroLeague final. 16 years old. Never went back to a final. Now he would love to have a EuroCup final. 10-year EuroLeague veteran. A lot of EuroCup experience as well. Here's Scotty Reynolds. And going low. And then Whittington is hustled out of that. And James White is having a look as if to say to the officials, come on, you're going to call it. And they did. Well, that was Valiev to Whittington. Meanwhile, we've seen a little bit more aggressive defense from Zenit. They certainly look determined to try and knock Reggio Emilia out of their rhythm. Markoishvili back to Jompart. That's a couple of very, very wise heads. Ooh, that wasn't so wise though, but he got away with it there, Jompart. Well, that's a bit ambitious once again. Chervy was not expecting that pass from James White, and once again Evgeny Valiev has stepped up. So that duel's pretty even at the moment. Chervy drew first blood, but Valiev's had a couple of successive since then. And Vasily Karasev must be pretty happy with the defense that he's seeing from his side at the moment through this first 3 minutes. Restricting Reggio Emilia to just 2 buckets. Harper is trying to drive in there, and Pedro Jompart says, yeah, I know. Devontae Harper is certainly making his presence felt in the first quarter here as Grissin Bon Reggio Emilia makes some changes, as do Zenit, and Drew Gordon, one of their key rebounders, will come in. Jalen Reynolds, number 10, also in for the home side. Reynolds just beasted game 1. Absolutely stunning effort. 19 points, 11 rebounds in less than 20 minutes of play. That was ambitious. Gordon, and I believe that's Jompart that's going to get called there again. Well, back-to-back fouls for the veteran Spaniard. He was dueling there with Drew Gordon. Well, let's take another look. Well, it'll be tough to get the better of Drew Gordon there. So Jompart in a little bit of trouble. And back up to the line goes Zenit. Drew Gordon. Gordon had 12 points in game 1. He was the least productive in game 2. That's collected by Jalen Reynolds, who will give it to Jompart, who now has to watch himself in terms of fouls. 2 against you this early in the game potentially is a problem, and they need his experience. He'll go for a triple from the point. The rebound collected by Kuric. Reynolds brings it away. Kuric, Markoishvili guarding him, nobody guarding Gordon. Gordon back to Kuric. Kuric with the alley-oop, and Gordon at the second attempt has improvised the basket. So Zenit, just as they did in game 1, taking the early lead here. Jompart, Markoishvili with the jumper. Nice bit of poise there from the veteran. Been a while since they put any points on the board. Reynolds driving in there, and Jompart trying to guard him, and Jompart is in big trouble. You can hear what the crowd make of that. But 3 fouls in rapid time as well. So Jompart will have to sit down. And that is shades of Malcolm Griffin of Zenit in game 1, where he came on and fouled out very quickly indeed, just over 10 minutes. Oh, Jompart. With barely 4 minutes gone, has put 3 fouls up against himself. He can't really have any complaints. More to the point, it sends Zenit back up to the line with Scotty Reynolds. Quiet throughout this series so far, Reynolds. Didn't manage a point or an assist in the first game of this series, Reynolds. Chris Wright, who's been a real provider of spark and energy in the backcourt, has checked in. Markovichvili will go with another distance jumper. That one rattles the rim and knocked down by Reynolds. This Reggio Emilia offense is not getting going at all at the moment. And Evgeny Voronov, the veteran, checks in. The man who ran the show in game 2. Vastly experienced front court player, Voronov. Also coming in, Griffin. Number 23. Simonic, number 19, also in. Monte Harper stays in. He'll go for one himself there. Evgeny Voronov hasn't lost his eye. Far from it. And there are worrying signs early here for Reggio Emilia. There's a whistle there as Reynolds looked to try and drive through, and it's gone against the home team, and everything seems to be going against the home team at the moment. Malcolm Griffin will bring this away. Zenit in a comfort zone right now. We're only 5 minutes in. Early signs, though, very encouraging for the visitors. That wasn't so encouraging. Not sure what Griffin was looking for there. If he was looking for Gordon, Gordon certainly wasn't expecting it. So, a turnover at the other end. But you would think Massimiliano Minetti must be close to timeout range here, because his team is not getting going at all. Jompart's picked up 3 fouls. Chris Wright's nearly lost the handle there, and in fact has. That call goes against Reggio Emilia as well, and they're just not getting anything going here. Griffin was there, and the call immediately goes against Massimiliano Minetti's team. The inbound from Marko Simonovic, the one-time Crvena Zvezda man, and sure enough, Massimiliano Minetti has said, okay, this is not good. There's a time and a place to call a timeout, and that was it, right there. You can hear what the crowd think of it. This is not what they were expecting. And the home side just not in gear at all. It is a big advantage to be at home, of course, but it does bring a bit of pressure with it as well. There is an expectation that you're going to do well. Well, it started off all right with Ricardo Cervi, but the highlights for the guys in the white vest have been pretty thin on the ground ever since. That was another one of them there. Cervi with the assist that time for Della Valle. And then Jompart to Markovichvili. But what we've seen there is the sum total of Reggio Emilia's offensive output. That's it. 3 baskets. Well, way too early for Reggio Emilia fans to be giving up on the team, but they're in the penalty. They're trailing. Well, they just can't get going at all. Simonovic with the alley-oop. Gordon saying thank you very much. Well, this is too easy for Zenit. Now can Chris Wright assert himself on the game. That's the low pass to James White. There's another whistle. Oh, was that DeMonte Harper getting the call there? He didn't like it. But the call goes against him. And we can see why, and Harper has certainly made his presence felt early on here. Just all over Amedeo Della Valle. There's no question about what the plan is tactically to deal with the man who puts up the points for his team. EuroCup's leading scorer. Also has a ton of steals to his name as well. A big one there from James White might just fire everybody up. 3-pointers have been thin on the ground for Reggio Emilia. That was a timely one. Griffin, Simonovic, Harper, Gordon. Now Voronov, everybody getting their hands on it for the visitors. Voronov will take a look, will try and drive his way in. Turnover, Della Valle will bring this away on the fast break. Chris Wright. Now, Jalen Reynolds, Della Valle. A big response from Reggio Emilia. And now, Zenit decide momentum has changed. Let's call a halt to this. Timeout. It is amazing how quickly things can change. They made hard work of this. Della Valle really had to work hard with Malcolm Griffin there, DeMonte Harper there. So the turnover turns into points. And now Vasily Karasev is charged with making sure that this early run doesn't run out of steam. It started okay for them in game one. There's certainly echoes of game one here. I think Karasev is just going to say, hey, history need not repeat itself. And there's a man who certainly doesn't want history to repeat itself. The man who fouled out early, Malcolm Griffin, put 10 points on the board, but got himself in foul trouble. Tonight is Pedro Yompa that's got himself in a ton of trouble. 3 fouls, virtually back-to-back. Zenit winning the rebounding battle at the moment, and they're doing quite a job on this man here, Amedeo Della Valle. He's picked up 2 buckets and has had to work very hard for them. Della Valle will take a breather now as Leo Candy, the youngster who was signed from just down the road in Bologna in the summer. Fortitudo was his last team. Been emerging the longer this EuroCup campaign has gone on. The youngster, Leo Candy, will be interesting to see his development over the next few years. Kuric to Gordon to Simonovic. Guarded by White. Simonovic hasn't got anybody there, so he'll give it to Griffin, who will go for the jumper for 3. Takes a big rebound that is collected by Marco Ishvili. And Chris Wright can just call the signals here as Reggio Emilia pull to within 4 and now have possession as well. And Wright looks like he might go all the way. No, then he checks back. Candy goes low. Reynolds working Gordon, doesn't deliver. Markoishvili couldn't get the rebound. Voronov did, and Voronov will bring it away down that left sideline. Ran into a bit of trouble there. Crowd wanted a whistle, didn't come. Simonovic to Kuric. Guarded by Candy. Playing a little bit more aggressive defense here, the home side. Kuric will go for the jumper himself. Gets his own rebound, has another crack at it. Can't deliver again. Reggio Emilia a little bit fortunate, but they hold firm. White just blows by Simonovic like he's not there. And suddenly Reggio Emilia are fired up. Griffin goes high. Gordon can't deliver. Another miss for Zenit. Chris Wright gets it back. The jumper wasn't there for Markoishvili. And that may well be against Marko Simonovic, as James White just tried to get past him, and suddenly Zenit, who looks so comfortable and so in control, are making a lot of mistakes. They're missing opportunities. They're being forced into fouls. White and Della Valle catching their breath on the sideline. Reggio Emilia looking to try and draw level here. Here's Chris Wright, whose playing time might well be extended. Oh, a turnover there. Markoishvili had his pocket picked, and back comes Malcolm Griffin. Just like that, momentum switches the other way. That was a little bit sloppy from Markoishvili, and Malcolm Griffin made him pay. Right. Candy. Reynolds running a bit of interference. Candy will swing it out there to White. White with the throwdown. Wright rather with the throwdown. Julian Wright, who's been in double figures in both games between these two teams. That's his first one of the night. Voronov. We'll find a little seam there over Reynolds, and the block was there from Wright at the other end. Well, suddenly Julian Wright's decided to step up and make some plays. Gordon is still arguing that the last contact came off a white vest. But there's the breakdown that led to Malcolm Griffin with the big jam. Handy there that Julian Wright making the play at one end and then going down to the other end. And there's Sergei Karasev, who we continue to wait to see in action. Haven't heard any reports that he's not healthy. That's another lovely little spin move, and Julian Wright has suddenly emerged as the game's most potent player. He's leveled it up. Griffin will go for the jumper. The rebound is not collected by Valiev. And there's a quick fast break, and Reynolds gives Reggio Emilia the lead again. Got there ahead of Gordon. The place is going crazy. And the jeering you were hearing 3 or 4 minutes ago has been replaced by cheering. Reggio Emilia getting themselves together. And this is quite an offensive output for them. Last few seconds into the first quarter, Voronov will draw the and one as well. That was Julian Wright. Well, he may have had the whistle against him there, Julian Wright, but he is making plays all over the paint at the moment at both ends. Voronov can tack on the and one here. Don't expect him to be going over 20 again. That really was a career night for him in St. Petersburg. And it does put Zenit back in front. And we're inside the last 30 seconds here. Griffin and Garrett Neville's engaging in a bit of conversation there. Neville's and Chris Wright may well see a lot more playing time tonight, with Pedro Yompart in a bit of trouble. Now Wright surveys what's in front of him, and there is no movement at all apart from Valiev and Reynolds dueling in the paint, or rather Wright dueling in the paint. And it's Valiev that gets the call against him. Well, this is a one-game shootout for a place in the semi-finals of the EuroCup. So if you're not going to get intensity in a game like this, you're never going to get it, and we are seeing plenty of intensity. Valiev checks out, Marko Simonovic comes back in, and boy, there's a guy that's played at such a high level for Crvena Zvezda all those years. It's a shame from Julian Wright, who's done a lot of good things in the last 3 or 4 minutes in this game. One time Toronto Raptor levels it up with his second one. Well, it's been played at quite a pace, this. Nikita Barinov gets involved as well. Griffin, though, will take it all on his own. Will go for the jumper that rattles the rim, then comes back to the front of the rim and then drops. And that was perfectly placed by Malcolm Griffin, and that is the way Zenit would have wanted to end that first quarter. They're still in front, but that lead, which was threatening to become a runaway, got trimmed back. But this is a good one. It's fiery. And after 10 minutes, it's Reggio Emilia 20, Zenit St Petersburg 22. So both teams will think they're in it. Let's have a look at some of the highlights from that first quarter. Both teams definitely are in it. Della Valle to Chervi there early on. And then things went very, very quiet. DeMonte Harper doing some damage for the visitors. Nice little bounce pass there into the path of the on-rushing Della Valle. Harper was busy. Drew Gordon at the other end. And then the nemesis from game one, Voronov. Simonovic with the alley-oop to Gordon. They were flowing at this point. Somebody had to step up, and it was James White nailing a three there that finally sparked something. Della Valle really showing his persistence and his touch there. And it was White again, just leaving Marko Simonovic for dead. But then a big throwdown off the turnover from Malcolm Griffin. And a similarly emphatic throwdown from Julian Wright, who really became a key player the longer that first quarter went on. Those are the numbers. Just 2 points in it. They're shooting pretty good percentages in terms of their two-pointers. And Reggio Emilia starting to win some rebounds as well. Both teams will be thinking, yeah, we need to take care of that basketball a little bit better. 4 turnovers. Second quarter underway then. Reynolds to Harper. Kuric will go for a 3 from the wing. Chris Wright looking to try and get the fast break going here. It's just about kept in by Julian Wright. Della Valle will pick it up again. Jompart remains on the bench. Nice bounce pass there. Reynolds to Wright. And still they're battling away, and the last touch came from Jalen Reynolds, the man who dominated game 1. Scotty Reynolds, Shane Whittington. Whittington doesn't drop. Jalen Reynolds collects it, and now suddenly Reggio Emilia are winning those battles in the paint. Della Valle driving his way through, then sending it out, and here's Wright taking a look, spinning one way, can't get past Kuric. Can't pull the trigger. Back it goes to Candy, to Della Valle. He will go for the jumper. That doesn't work. Recycled by Reynolds, but picked off by this man right here, DeMonte Harper, who looked like he was going to go all the way and then ran into a brick wall of white. Leo Candy got himself back there. Chris Wright will now take over. Wright thought about it, gave it to Reynolds instead. Reynolds will look to just work Shane Whittington, and does. And Reggio Emilia back in front. Vasily Karasev not looking very happy. Still no sign of Sergei Karasev, the team's leading scorer. Kuric gets the whistle there, and it went in. That whistle went before Whittington just put that in. Well, Jalen Reynolds, if he starts picking up decent defensive rebounds, gets a couple of blocks, and makes plays like that, it'll be back to a familiar script for Reggio Emilia, who scored so many of their points in the paint in game 1, like 56 of them altogether. Kuric after the foul will go to work from the line. He is flawless. Here's Chris Wright, the one-time Georgetown man. Yeah, Candy, the one-time Fortitudo Bologna man, the youngster. How's he going to go? He sends it out to Wright. No, that was never going to work. The rebound is collected. There is a whistle there, and it drops out anyway. And Julian Wright. Simonovic once again is going to get called for a foul here. So Wright getting away with one there. Simonovic will be disappointed as Baranov comes back in. And Marco goes and sits himself back down. Yeah, Julian Wright is a bit of a voyage into the unknown when he comes up to the line. 1 for 3 so far. The fourth one is a good one, so he's still shooting 50%. Reggio Emilia still with their noses in front, but Scotty Reynolds looking to do something about that. DeMonte Harper trying to drive his way past Wright and then get it down to Whittington. Whittington ends up on the floor, but job done first, and it's Ricardo Cherby looking around as if to say that whistle cannot surely have been against me. Chervy was there, Wright was there, Whittington was on the floor, but he also got the bucket. There's someone that can't afford to foul out. And it's 2 fouls against Julian Wright's name now. Yeah, maybe that's why he's going to take a quick timeout as James White comes in. One-time Western Michigan man Shane Whittington, who didn't play EuroCup until round 10 this season, tacks on the and one. Zenit back in front, but that lead didn't last very long. It took just a few seconds for Chris Wright to restore parity, but here's Scotty Reynolds looking to put the visitors back in front. Baranov, Courage with a jumper. That's meat and drink to him, but it didn't drop, and Chris Wright was there to pick the rebound up. Tied at 27 apiece here. Wright will go for a similar jumper, and just look at that. Chris Wright leading the way for Reggio Emilia. What a difference. Karl Kuric misses. Chris Wright tries an almost identical shot and nails it. Reynolds back to Harper. Della Valle looking at him, then Harper swinging it out to Baranov, who goes for an ambitious triple. Whittington just about keeps that in. Courage looks to float it in there. A great hustle there again by Harper, but the buzzer beat them to it. Well, Nikita Baranov is not somebody that you'd bank on for a big long-range triple from the wing. And sure enough, he couldn't even find the rim. Malcolm Griffin, who really does bring a bit of presence to this Zenit backcourt, checks into the lineup, and that was a little bit too much presence. So that will be a side out to Reggio Emilia. Just reached in there on Chris Wright. Chris Wright is threatening to have a game tonight. Chervy to Candy, to James White. Della Valle for a jumper for three that rattled the rim, and Griffin said, okay, thank you. They continue to struggle with their three-point shooting here. Reggio Emilia, they're not throwing too many from distance either, given the problems they've had in the first 2 games. Hardly surprising. Going nowhere fast there was Voronov, but he's managed to keep it alive and get it to Griffin, who will go for one, and that hits the rim, and then Whittington does a brilliant job recycling that, and then Courage can't get it. Chervy can. Della Valle will look to bring this away, and Malcolm Griffin is going to get called there, and that may well be an unsportsmanlike, depending on how the officiating crew have seen that one. Well, Griffin has got to keep his cool, especially after what happened in game 1. And I think that is exactly what the Zenit huddle is saying there collectively. Let's calm everything down. Shane Whittington doing the talking in there. Yeah, they're going to review this. Are they just going to leave it as a foul, or are they going to tack the unsportsmanlike onto this? Griffin pleading his case. It looked very, very messy indeed. Well, he can hardly be surprised. Yeah, it happens. That was take him up for the team. So Della Valle, who's been bounced around this court like a pinball tonight. Maybe it's showing. They've been very physical with him, Harper and Griffin in particular. And gets himself to 5 points for the night. Reggio Emilia just trying to build a little bit of a cushion here. And possession remains with the home side. And Pedro Llompart, after a long breather, can check back in. He, more than anyone, suffered as Zenit had that little offensive explosion early on. Chervi running some interference. And then it gets all the way to White. White looks for the jumper over Valiev and nails it. One of those mid-range two-pointers that James White just loves. Now Griffin coming back the other way. Suddenly they're trailing by 5 here, Zenit. Going low was Valiev. And great hustle there, and Chervi pulls it in over Voronov, and Voronov not able yet to have the impact that he had in game 2. Llompart is orchestrating things. Chervi, Della Valle with the assist as well. They set that up beautifully, and that was the vision of Pedro Llompart that set that up. He called it. Brilliant bit of improvisation there from Della Valle. And this time, Ricardo Chervi gets the better of Evgeny Valiev in the battle of the big men. Evgeny Voronov is unhappy about something. He's probably unhappy about that scoreline right now. He's probably unhappy that these fans are right back into it. And Zenit, having been so comfortable after 5 minutes, are really struggling here in this second quarter. And this is shades of game 1. That's the real worry for Vasily Karasev. Still no sign of Sergei Karasev. If he's injured, it's been kept pretty quiet, but we have not seen him on court yet. Here's Chris Wright going to work. He's certainly provided a ton of energy in the backcourt for Reggio Emilia, and nobody there guarding him defensively. You take what's there. And Chris Wright is certainly enjoying taking what's there at the moment. Is there going to be Italian representation in the semi-finals of the EuroCup? Way too early to make a call like that. But it certainly looked better in the second quarter than it did through the first 4 minutes of the first quarter for these fans in red and white. One or two signs, particularly with Malcolm Griffin and then unsportsmanlike, that Zenit are really feeling this. There was a clumsy foul from Marko Simonovic earlier as well that he didn't need to make. They are feeling the pressure here, Zenit. Well, they need to regroup. Meanwhile, Ricardo Chervi, there's Karl Kuric. A lot of chat with the officiating crew from these Zenit players. And one is tacked on by Chervi. We are getting close to a double-digit lead for Reggio Emilia. It's certainly their biggest lead of the night as Malcolm Griffin looks to try and work his way in. He'll go for another one of those jumpers, and that rattles in and out. Big Chervi gets it. Llompart, there he is, orchestrating things once again. This veteran Spaniard, you won't see him put up many points, but he's pulling all the strings from the backcourt. There's another whistle there. And is that Voronov unhappy? There's the confirmation. Well, Evgeny Voronov is certainly struggling to make any kind of impact in game 3. The man who just ran the show in St Petersburg. Well, they may be fouling Della Valle, but generally speaking, that's not a man you want up on the foul line. He's a good shooter from the line, Amedeo Della Valle. $15 points when they met here in game 1, just the 7 in game 2 as they really closed him down. Well, Della Valle is certainly going to feel a few bruises tomorrow night, but he might have the last laugh here. Gordon and Chervi tangling there, and Chervi did seem to have a bad angle on that. Couldn't make the play. And they're going to call that one every time. But that's been a pretty good shift there from big Ricardo Chervi. Injured his knee and missed virtually the whole of the regular season, Chervi. Injured his knee in game 1 of the EuroCup. Came back for the round of 16. Now Marko Simonovic from the point. Oh, he didn't even need to throw that. If you see Marko Simonovic from the point all on his own like that, you know it's 3. Jompard. White. Not quite so effective. No, Evgeny Voronov. He'll go for 3 unguarded from the point as well. Now that is really good response from Zenit. Back-to-back triples from the point. First Simonovic, then Voronov, and momentum shifts again. And it was that simple, and that will be driving Massimiliano Minetti absolutely crazy. They had Zenit on their knees. 2 quick plays like that have transformed the complexion of the game. First they left Simonovic alone, big mistake. Then they left Voronov alone, and in between that they missed a shot of their own as well. That's Simonovic. That was automatic. And then Voronov, Della Valle didn't get there quick enough. Something like that. 6 cheap points given away by Reggio Emilia defensively. Remember, this is a team that is based around its defensive strength. Over the course of this EuroCup campaign, they've been allowing a low 70s, so around the 72 mark to their opponents. St Petersburg managing 61 in game 2 and then 90, or game 1 rather, and then 91 in game 2. Minetti's still not happy about something. There can be fingers pointed only at his own players for that last little sequence. Now Jompard and Griffin dueling. Reynolds being guarded by Gordon. Back out it goes. White with the bounce pass to Reynolds. Reynolds misses. Drew Gordon collects the rebound. Now Jalen Reynolds doesn't miss many like that. So momentum hasn't changed as Simonovic tried a 3-pointer there, and he's saying, well, what about the foul? He's not getting it. And when the dust has settled, Pedro Jompard has possession. Now that was certainly a shove on Markoishvili, who has returned to the fray, and Markoishvili, that's his range. Reggio Emilia edging in front, 3.5 left. First half, this really is a good one. Simonovic, Griffin. Griffin back out to Simonovic, who will go for a 3 again. Hits the rim, nothing doing. James White collects. Pedro Jompard brings it away. Reggio Emilia looking to build on this 6-point lead. Simonovic read that all the way. Fast break doesn't come to anything though, as he was hustled out of it, but it did come off a Reggio Emilia player. But Marko Simonovic is never going to burn you with his speed. There's a lot of other qualities Simonovic brings to the show, and they were able to close him down pretty quickly there, but possession remains with Zenit. After the Simonovic play, Griffin floats one up there for Gordon to collect over Reynolds, and Reynolds hits the floor, and that really was clumsy from Drew Gordon. And once again, these players just getting very agitated with some of the calls, but that looked pretty clear-cut, and the way Jalen Reynolds has gone down there, he's taken something in the throat there as Zenit continue to be really physical here. Well, it's the deciding game of a EuroCup quarter-final. Nothing's going to come easy tonight for anybody. And Zenit bringing a lot of intensity to their game. Markoishvili, Reynolds running some interference. Markoishvili is blocked out, goes low. Reynolds with a jam. He may have taken an elbow to the throat, but it didn't keep him down for long. Jalen Reynolds is building up a head of steam here. Here's Malcolm Griffin, with Zenit trailing by 8 again. Markoishvili closed out by Reynolds. Baseline drive and throw down as well. Simonovic taking what was available. These two teams getting into shootout territory. You would think that does not favor Reggio Emilia, but at the moment They are more than matching their opponents. Markoishvili will go for another one of his beautiful trademark long-range two-point jumpers. He's nailed them time after time throughout this EuroCup campaign. The lead is 8. 2 minutes remaining, just under first half. Markoishvili, rather Simonovic, as James White picks up the foul as well. Suddenly, Marko Simonovic has stepped up his game. And he'll have the and one. To tack on as well. Yon Park checks out. Really good pace to this game. Markoishvili, one of a number of Reggio Emilia players that are struggling to keep up with Marko Simonovic at the moment. So he'll check out. And Vasily Karasev looks on nervously. Sergei, his son, the team's top scorer in EuroCup competition, is on the bench. We have not seen him. You would think if he is healthy, he would be playing. And after all that, Marko Simonovic, who knows a thing or two about hostile crowds, having spent most of his career with Crvena Zvezda, where they're not shy and retiring there in the Serbian capital, so a load of ambient noise shouldn't bother Simonovic too much. He tacks on the and one. Zenit continue just to cling on here. They trailed at half-time of game 2 as well by 4 points, and then just turned in a 29-point third quarter to really take control. That's brilliant bit of improvisation there from Reynolds. Did well just to get possession under control, and then dropping it in the basket as well. Scotty Reynolds as we get down to 1:15 remaining. Simonovic! Harper collects the rebound and then loses it. Candy's on the floor, he's got it. And Candy, the youngster, is not giving up here. And he had Kuric all over him. And he had DeMonte Harper all over him as well. And Harper's taken something. But that young man, Leonardo Candy, in his first season of EuroCup play, showed that he's got a big heart and plenty of fight in him. He was not going to give that up. And now getting the crowd into it. Well, that's how you become a fan favourite. There's that improvisation from Reynolds. And to just drag that in, get it under control. And that great bit of hustle from Leo Candy there. Possession remains with Reggio Emilia, who have a 7-point lead here inside the final minute of the first half. And what a good half this has been. Markoishvili is closed down by Kuric, who did a great job. But there's another one of those jumpers that misses the target. Recycled by Reynolds. White misses out as well. Harper brings it away to Reynolds. Terrific tempo to this game. Reynolds out to Kuric. Kuric blocked off by Markoishvili. Has to put it back to Reynolds. Reynolds looking and spinning. Nowhere to go. Simonovic up to Drew Gordon. Gordon being defended there by Chris Wright in what it can only be described as a physical mismatch. How on earth you're asking Chris Wright to defend Drew Gordon in the paint? Well, I think everybody saw the funny side of that. So the foul goes against Chris Wright. And Drew Gordon rattles just about every part of that rim. So far, the foul hasn't punished them. We're inside the last 30 seconds here. A 7-point Reggio Emilia lead, 6 if this drops, which it does. And Reggio Emilia, you would think, will want to just take their time. Give Zenit as little time to play with. Good response this, though, whatever happens in these last few seconds from Reggio Emilia after that dreadfully slow start. Della Valle, who was once again runs into a bunch of trouble. Reynolds with the alley-oop, and it's not delivered though. They've survived that somehow. And a real bit of hustle down the far end that sees Evgeny Voronov almost go into the third row of the crowd. It is a very intense game, this. Reynolds and Voronov just steaming in there, and Voronov had possession and Reynolds just cleaned him out. That's another one of those fouls that it's almost like you kind of have to take it. Voronov is okay. Let's see if he can punish them. And he does. Well, this is one of those gut check games, isn't it? If you've got a player that doesn't fancy this, you don't want him on the court. This is the second one. Markoshvili will look to try and get another score in here. That was a rim rattler, and that will have to do it for a breathtaking first half. A slow start from the home side, but they came on like gangbusters at the start of that second quarter and really turned their fortunes around. They were building up ahead of steam at the end of one. They trailed by 2. They turned that around. At one point they led by 8, but they will take a 5-point lead into the locker room at half-time. It's Reggio Emilia 45, Zenit St Petersburg 40. The winner, remember, advances to the EuroCup semi-finals for the first time in team history. Right now, these fans 20 minutes away.
An impressive first half of the match. Manu Chara, it's a very tough game, it's a very intense game, but you have to set your own pace and your own rhythm to the game. And what's more from you in the second half?
Yes, definitely our key is to play good defense. We have to be more resistant. We need to box out, we need to give less second chance opportunities to them. And when we play good defense, our offense and fast break becomes much easier.
Thank you so much and good luck.
It's also the kind of games when you need the calm and the experience and the wisdom of the likes of Manu Markoshvili and James White and Pedro Yompart for Reggio Emilia, and for Zenit, the likes of Marko Simonovic, Evgeny Voronov, the guys that have been there and done it. But it is so intense. There is so much at stake. Not surprisingly, these two teams going at it full throttle. Let's just have a look at some of the highlights then from that first half, and what a good first half it was. There is Markoshvili. Evgeny Voronov left with a bit of space. Simonovic with the alley-oop to Drew Gordon. James White working well from downtown. Della Valle has been bounced around this court. White leaving Simonovic standing. Griffin with the throwdown after the turnover. Candy setting up Reynolds with the flush. And Julian Wright, who had a very dominant spell in that second quarter. Reynolds loves those. Just let Harper know about it, Drew Gordon know about it as well. That's Voronov driving his way in. He's still a playmaker. So too is that man right there, Malcolm Griffin. A little spin move there from Julian Wright, and Reynolds was there to pick up the loose change. Reynolds again, under the rim, so effective. Chris Wright, he certainly brought a bunch of energy and enthusiasm to that backcourt, and also made the odd big play like that one right there. James White enjoyed that one. And Marko Simonovic would certainly have enjoyed that. And it was followed almost immediately by this from Evgeny Voronov. 6 cheap points there that helped Zenit stay in this one. Markoshvili with one of his trademarks, and then Reynolds just bamboozling everybody there. Simonovic with the baseline drive got himself going, and Markoshvili, you can string those up together, and then Simonovic as well. Lovely bit of improvisation there from Jalen Reynolds, and at the end of it all, we still have no real idea of who is going to be playing in next week's semi-final. But at half-time here, it's the home side with the lead. Reggio Emilia 45, Zenit St Petersburg 40. Don't go away, we'll be back with what should be a thrilling second half in just a couple of moments. To set a new record in EuroCup for points. First time over 20, and there's another turnover, and it's Voronov with the layup. And Evgeny Voronov is just having one of those nights. And the way he's playing tonight, he is going to force a game 3 here.
Is he going to pull up for the 3? No, he's going to go inside, find the man in the corner, and the 3 goes up and in on the buzzer! And that really is going to hurt. If you're a Buduknost Podgorica fan or player, that is a killer blow, to say the least. Cummins. Pass to John Johnson, and that's blocked as well. Johnson knows he's got a game on his hands in there. Wonderful defense.
Smith, Jim. Oh, that is good strength and skill from Melvin Ejim.
Up top for Balvin, and Kulagin came over to defend, but Balvin able to throw it down with power. Balvin was calling for it. Teardrop in the lane, and Kulagin's taking this game over yet again. Kulagin from downtown, and things might start to unravel here for Gran Canaria. He has been the man on fire here in quarterfinals. This is just ridiculous. Kulagin, 32 points, 34 PIR. Dmitry Kulagin. Knocks up the alley-oop, and it's thrown down one hand.
The 3 at the buzzer.
Oh, buzzer beater from 3-quarter court. Thunderous finish.
Top kick to the line. Time to shoot for 3.
Rising to finish above the rim.
Give me some of that.
Looking like a very well-oiled machine here.
Long pass forward for the slam.
Ball game.
But what about that? A big throwdown.
Quanto manca? Che io il coach. Non so. Here we are. Coach Vasily Karaev, you're pushing hard, you're very, very pushing hard, and you're losing just by 5. What can you do to try to escape in the second half?
Well, first of all, we must stop Emilia fast break and play more stronger under the basket, because on perimeter we play not bad, but under the basket we must play better.
In the offensive area, maybe you gotta get second chances more. You gotta shoot more. What can you do?
First of all, we must score, our open shot and play our game, in offense. That's it.
Thank you so much, Coach. You're doing very, very good your job. What can you do right now to try to finally escape to this match and try to win it?
Everything we did is not enough. We are really close. We have to improve defensively our game. We have to be more smart, more focused. We need 20 minutes to be really stronger and to do our best.
Thank you so much, Coach.
Well, reports coming out of the Zenit St Petersburg camp is that Sergei Karasev, we just saw his back there, the son of the coach, their top scorer, picked up an injury in training. We're not sure what or specifically when, but he has been warming up with his teammates, but clearly not moving very well at all. So we're assuming unlikely to play, which is such a blow for Zenit, of course, because it's Karasev with those 19 points in game one that really set the way for them. They're going to have to do it without him, it would seem. But one or two ominous signs for Zenit in that first half of what they saw in game one, when they started off pretty well and then just got effectively closed down and shut down. Well, the other side of that coin is they'll say, well, we were tucked in the slipstream in game two, we were trailing in game two, and we came back and dominated the third quarter. So everything to play for in this one. Who is going to go through to face Lokomotiv in the EuroCup semi-finals? Kuric is out there as well. He's been so quiet so far. The early rebound is picked up by Shane Whittington. Zenit looked to go to work, but worrying signs for Kyle Kuric as well, who was 1 of 9 in field goal attempts. That was a triple in game one. He's had 6 shots at the bucket tonight. He's not nailed any of them. Markoishvili missing. This is a slightly better start, this, for Zenit. And then there is a breakdown. So if you're looking for omens, you can find good omens for both sides here. The bottom line is it's another day, another game. And what happened in game one and game two, probably not at all relevant to what's going to happen in the last 2 quarters of this particular series. Voronov very quietly just ticking over here. I said it was unlikely that he was going to have another 20-point game. Well, he's just got himself into double figures right there, and Zenit have certainly come out of the blocks pretty fast here. Markoishvili back to Della Valle. Closed down immediately by 2 players, and they continue to be really physical, but that means somebody somewhere is going to be open. That somebody was James White, and he couldn't deliver. So what a good start this is for Zenit. Voronov looking, checking, stepping back, going for a 3. Oh boy, Zenit have suddenly caught fire, and that 5-point deficit has been smashed out of sight in a minute and a half here. 7 points without reply for Zenit, capped by that triple from Evgeny Voronov. Is it going to be Voronov's night again? There is a whistle there as James White looks to go up, and Marko Simonovic saying, surely not me. Reggio Emilia have not got going at all here, and that's Voronov looking so comfortable there. So James White looking to get the scoreboard moving for the first time in the second half for the home side, which he does. Well, this is just how game 2 went. Zenit were trailing and came out red hot out of the locker room. Can't happen again from the Reggio Emilia perspective. Zenit will run away with this. Reynolds looking at the traffic in front of him. Kuric is closed down by Markoishvili, who hits the deck. Kuric can go for a triple and finally nails his first field goal of the night, and it was a beautiful trademark 3 from Kyle Kuric. And Zenit continue to pour it on here. This is a 10-2 run. Now that just gets a little bit of balance back from Chris Wright for Reggio Emilia. That's Scotty Reynolds driving in, checking, getting it back to Marko Simonovic. Voronov getting away and then just putting one in, but nothing doing there. Got it over Cherby, but couldn't direct it in, and Voronov will pick up a foul there. But once again, Zenit are showing that when the going gets tough, Evgeny Voronov is the man that they will turn to. That was Chris Wright. There's Reggio Emilia to get themselves going here. And Voronov looking to get his team going. The man who had a stunning game too. 22 points, 8 rebounds, both EuroCup career highs for him. Well, he might yet be threatening one or two of those. He's got himself up to 14 points. As Wright once again decides to take the short route. He'll get another bite at this and goes for the reverse. A little bit fortuitous, but you take what you can get. Chervy was there to provide a bit of a nuisance for himself. Reynolds is sent flying by Chervy. And that will be a foul every which way you care to look at it. So the big fella picks up his third foul. Jompart also on 3. And Valiev, one of the big guys for Zenit, is the other player that's on 3 fouls. Everybody else pretty clean at the moment. Well, there were whistles before the attempt there, as Markoishvili wandered in. Well, that's a frustrating one for Reggio Emilia, because Reynolds made a hash of the shot as well. Will he do it again? Yes, he will, but they pick up the rebound. Simonovic saying, "I'll have that, thank you very much." That's a real bonus. Marko Simonovic using all his experience to just nail that rebound and convert it into 2 points as well. So Zenit continue to pour it on here. Less than 3 minutes played in this third quarter. They've piled up 13 points. They had 29 points in the third quarter of game 2. And you do feel it's in the DNA of Reggio Emilia not to get involved in a shootout, but this third quarter is a very different story to the second quarter, which is all Reggio Emilia. Zenit put a bit of gloss of respectability on it in the latter stages, but this third quarter at the moment is all about the visiting team. Well, we've seen this one ebb and flow one way and then the other already. And Marko Simonovic, the coolest head in the arena, surrounded by white vests, and knew exactly where the basket was. Voronov's numbers impressive again tonight. Who knows, he could be on for another double, another 20-point game. And Simonovic into double figures. And picking up that rebound will also get the and one. And just like that, Zenit give themselves a little bit of daylight, just 3 points. Right to White, to Markoishvili, back out to James White, who's pinned in the corner by Karl Kuric. Well, it's just a bit too physical for him there, the veteran, James White. A decade or so, and James White was part of the San Antonio Spurs championship winning side. He's played with Fenerbahce in the EuroLeague. He's been a winner wherever he's gone. And Karl Kuric picks up back-to-back fouls. And as a result, has to sit down. And with Karasev out as well, Zenit really will be looking to the likes of Voronov and Simonovic to get him over the line. If Kuric gets in any more foul trouble. Oh, that was trouble. Julian Wright just losing out. Scotty Reynolds setting it up for Voronov, and Voronov just getting blasted out of it there as Wright came back and Candy came back. And it was the youngster that hit the deck. Another turnover. Candy really just had all sorts of problems to deal with there. Decided to take the man out. 2 for 3 from the line, Evgeny Voronov tonight. Massimiliano Minetti, I'm sure, is looking at the Zenit number 18 and saying, yeah, didn't we have trouble with you last time out? This time they do manage to pick up the rebound. Reggio Emilia. Chris Wright will bring this away. Manu Markoishvili draws a crowd, goes down low, and there is a whistle there as Julian Wright looks to go to work. Scotty Reynolds. Goes low. Gordon gets it back out to Simonovic. Even he couldn't pull it in from there. Markoishvili picks up a huge rebound. Gets it out to Chris Wright. Wright will go for a big triple. That too rattles the rim. And he's collected by DeMonte Harper, and Reynolds can bring this away. And looks like he's trying to drive all the way through. Ran into his namesake, Jalen Reynolds. One Reynolds is considerably more physical than the other. So that didn't end too well for Scotty Reynolds. Now Wright back out to Markoishvili, who just floats one up there for Reynolds, who misses out. Julian Wright, though, collects. Candy will send it out to Chris Wright from the wing, and Wright delivers to put Reggio Emilia back in front. Vasily Karasev is furious about that. Good bit of vision there from young Leo Candy to see Chris Wright all on his own. Voronov, he's dangerous from anywhere. Closed down by Markoishvili, and there's a whistle there that'll go against Chris Wright as Voronov was trying to make a move. Well, that was the pass, and no one anywhere near Chris Wright, and those are the ones that have to drop. Remember, this is a Reggio Emilia team that's had serious trouble with its three-point shooting. That was only its second of the night on 9 attempts. They came into this one 6 of 30 in this series, so they're 8 for 39. It's not getting too much better. That was better again from Voronov, who continues to impress very quietly. That's getting the job done here, Yevgeny Voronov. Up to 17 points it could be. Back-to-back 20s. Chris Wright trying to match him step for step here. The American getting the job done once again there. He's into double figures for the night. Valiev to Voronov, and Markoishvili with the shove there. And he's arguing that, or trying to argue, I think, that Valiev kind of pushed him into Voronov. The officials aren't having that. So a one-point game. That's probably not the person you want to see at the free throw line if you are a Reggio Emilia fan. 17 points and counting for Evgeny Voronov, who had a EuroCup high 22 points in game 2. Amazingly, that is under threat. I don't think he'll be matching his 8 rebounds. Just got the 1 on the night, but right now it's points that Zenit need. They've got other rebounders who can get that job done. But with Sergei Karasev seemingly not available tonight, somebody somewhere's got to find some points. Karl Kuric is struggling with accuracy. Got 3 fouls to his name as well. Leo Candy looks out, and then a miscommunication there. The turnover as Markoishvili went one way and Candy's pass went the other. But for Vasily Karasev, once again, Evgeny Voronov is stepping up massively for this team. Valiev to Drew Gordon. DeMonte Harper goes low to Valiev. Valiev guarded by Candy. Gets it back out to Griffin for 3. Beautifully executed there, and Zenit are continuing to build momentum here. They put on 22 points through the first 6 minutes of this third quarter. Chris Wright is just bundled out of that. That may well be Evgeny Valiev again. In which case that will be Markoishvili. Looks like he's been shaken up a little bit. Here is Wright just trying to drive his way through there. Now, is it Valiev or is it Gordon? It's Valiev. So the big fella will sit down to be replaced by another big fella, Shane Whittington. Zenit up by 4. Once again owning the third quarter just as they did in game 2. So Chris Wright looking to do something about that himself from the line. And the good news for Reggio Emilia is, well, defensively they're not able to stop Zenit in this third quarter, which is their signature, of course. Remember, they are still putting up some points. All right, misses with his second one. Della Valle is sitting down now. Now he's just been bounced around in that first half. So we'll keep very, very close eyes on whether he's going to make another appearance. Hopefully he's okay. Whittington, Gordon, Harper, Griffin eventually getting control of that. Griffin just getting past Candy, then sending back out of Whittington, and Whittington running into Julian Wright. And Julian Wright will get that call go against him. And that'll be his third, and that's one of those you don't argue about. So Shane Whittington. Zenit continuing to threaten to just pull away here. You just get the sense that their offense really is starting to crank it up. Reggio Emilia, who led by 5 at the half, now trail by 5. That's how big a swing this has been through this first 7 minutes. And they are missing some big shots now. The home side. Here's Malcolm Griffin getting it back to Voronov, who is just growing in stature. Griffin just floating one in there. And the momentum continues just to stay in a blue vest. And there's a little bit of self-belief draining away, and there's a steal. And you know who with the layup. Evgeny Voronov has read that all away. He's picked the pocket of the youngster, and that's enough for Massimiliano Minetti. That's the kind of play that can cost you a semi-final in the EuroCup. Your team's struggling and in trouble, and then you get a breakdown like that. Well, that was another big, big basket there for Evgeny Voronov, and just look at their offensive output. 29 points in game 2 in the third quarter, 28 here already. And Evgeny Voronov's the man that's doing the damage. He has gone into 20-point territory again after a slow start. That last steal. There's Malcolm Griffin going to work. Griffin not too shabby tonight either. Yes, things have changed. And these young fans who are in such good voice at half-time are basically witnessing on this court what everybody who watched game 2 saw in St Petersburg. Zenit absolutely stormed away. Della Valle is okay. Now they need him right now. This is threatening to get ugly here for Reggio Emilia. Zenit with their biggest lead of the night. And offensively, absolutely pouring it on now. And it really is echoes of game 2. It's almost a carbon copy. They trailed by 4. Here they trailed by 5. And they're going to put even more points on the board than they managed on home turf. Jompart will go for an ambitious one, and that's not what he's known for. Great bit of hustle there from Julian Wright. Well, this was so important that he got this. Gordon in there, hustling away unfairly. So Wright can tack on the and one. Rather be get the second shot at it. There's a whistle win earlier, of course. Now that's what he needed. Griffin gets past Jompart and has to check back. Monte Harper and Della Valle very physically working together again, as they have been all night. Here's Gordon, guarded by Julian Wright. Gordon, will he work the spin? There is a whistle there that goes in favour of Reggio Emilia. Or does it? Well, there's more conversations going on. Well, that was DeMonte Harper in some kind of trouble there. Was that something happened after the play? Well, Vasily Karasev isn't happy. These fans, of course, are letting everybody know all about it. And whatever happened, it sent Della Valle to the line. Vasily Karasev, I'm sure, will just be saying to his team, discipline, stay focused, we've got this game where we need it. So possession remains with Reggio Emilia. Wright sends it out to Julian Wright. There's another whistle. This time it goes against Shane Whittington. Well, the foul's piling up as Reggio Emilia look to try and drag themselves back into this one. Such an important phase of the game, this. If Reggio Emilia can just steady the ship in the last 2 minutes of this third quarter, it will set up a grandstand final 10 minutes. Now here comes Malcolm Griffin looking to bring it away for Zenit inside the last 2 minutes then of this third quarter. Simonovic is trying to make his move. Kuric is forced back up, guarded by Chris Wright. Whittington physical there with Wright, so he's going to have to go it alone, and he can't pull it in. And it's kept in by Della Valle, who gets him back to Jompart. Another important stand defensively there from Reggio Emilia. That's getting back to their kind of game. Chris Wright will send it back, and it's another horrible breakdown. DeMonte Harper bringing this all the way back the other way. Kuric for three. Didn't deliver, but Whittington picks up the offensive rebound and dumps it in. It's another terrible breakdown offensively for Reggio Emilia. And a 10th offensive rebound for Zenit, and how many of those have they converted into points as well? Della Valle immediately shut down by Harper, who's done such a good job. Gets a little bounce pass down low to Julian Wright. Wright does the necessary. Reggio Emilia showing some toughness here in the final minute of this third quarter. Simonovic, Kuric, Whittington to Griffin. Jompart's there. Griffin sends it back out to Whittington, and there's a whistle there. And that's foul number 4, I believe, on Pedro Jompart, judging by his reaction. So all those early fouls against Pedro Jompart we thought might have an impact. And here we are with a full quarter to play. And the veteran Spaniard picks up foul number 4. So he'll sit down. Markovic will come back in with Zenit up by 4 and looking to add to that here with Shane Whittington. And a pep talk there from Malcolm Griffin, Whittington. Oh, missed the second one. Maybe Malcolm Griffin should have stayed out of his ear. That's the first one he's missed tonight. Chris Wright. Della Valle. Again, really physical all over him, and again, it was DeMonte Harper staying with him. Harper will pick up the foul. Now making him work for everything tonight, Amedeo Della Valle. Well, he's got a chance to get himself into double figures for the night from the line. Well, he was restricted in game 2. Just 7 points and 1 assist. And he's been kept in check here in game 3. That's 3 assists. Julian Wright has been working so hard tonight. Well, everybody has. It's been a very, very intense battle, this one. So Reggio Emilia just trying to hang on by their fingernails here. Della Valle back out again. Zenit up by 3. Malcolm Griffin just working the clock here. Just wants to give Reggio Emilia as little time as possible, and Reggio Emilia sitting back and saying, "Okay, well, give yourself a bit of work to do." Well, it didn't really work out at all, did it? So it was obvious what Malcolm Griffin was trying to do, but there was no end product at all, and it will give Reggio Emilia one last possession here in this third quarter, and if they can convert this into a field goal, potentially they could be level. I think right now they'll take anything they can get. A 31-point third quarter for Zenit. It looked like there was a rejection there as Harper and Griffin came in. Instead there's a whistle. Whittington was there as well. Whittington just sitting there and saying no, but getting the whistle against him. So here's Chris Wright once again from the line. That drops. Well, if this one drops, that'll be a 25-point quarter for Reggio Emilia, which is well above their usual average. But they've needed to have some output offensively in this third quarter. The way Zenit have just caught fire. They've hung on. They've stayed close. That is a 1-point game with 10 minutes left. Well, both coaches came out of the locker room at half-time and said, no idea how this one's going to go. We've just got to play our best game and see how it falls. That is probably exactly what they would say if they were interviewed right now. It is all to play for. It's Reggio Emilia 70, Zenit St Petersburg 71, with just 10 minutes left in what's been a compelling series. Well, that third quarter threatened to be a runaway express train for Zenit as they came out of the blocks red hot. Kyle Kuric nailing a 3 there. Evgeny Voronov, we will certainly be seeing plenty of him. Chris Wright provided some important offense for Grissin Bon Reggio Emilia in that third quarter. It's kept him in touch. There's Wright going again, because it did look as if everything was just going to fall apart. There's Simonovic picking up a rebound off a free throw and converting it into points as well. They really have been strong in the paint, the visitors, despite the best efforts of Jalen Reynolds. Chris Wright has been the man whose points have kept the home side in touch here. There's Wright going again with the reverse. Griffin left all on his own. That's always going to be trouble. But both teams have had their misfires, and that one was as big as it came. Evgeny Voronov read it all the way. That took him over 20 points for the night. Shane Whittington picking up an important rebound. They have won a lot of offensive rebounds tonight. Zenit, Julian Wright there battling away. And collectively, Grissin Bon Reggio Emilia have stuck to their task, and they've stuck close to Zenit. It's a one-point game. Still, their three-point shooting is leaving an awful lot to be desired. But with these fans behind them, who knows? It could be a first semi-final appearance for Reggio Emilia. Although if they can play another 10 minutes like that, Zenit will think their first ever EuroCup semi-final will be ours. 10 minutes left then. Zenit, the visitors in blue, leading by a point. But here's Chris Wright in possession for Reggio Emilia. And giving the home side the lead. Chris Wright going up to 18 points. He's having a night. Reynolds sends Markoishvili into the paint. Voronov. There is a call there that goes up against Manukar Markoishvili. Just reached in there. Great hustle again from Chris Wright, who's picked the pocket of Scotty Reynolds, but can't deliver. And back there was Voronov, and then Wright picks it up again, and then there's another foul, surely. Well, that was terrific hustle from Chris Wright. Chris Wright has really stepped up for Massimiliano Minetti's side tonight. Looked like he'd done all the hard work there, and then was just dragged down desperately by Voronov. It was like, where's the whistle? It came in the end. You just get the feeling this one could come down to the last possession. Here's Wright. Oh, brilliant. There's just no stopping him at the moment. Chris Wright is having one of those nights. There's a foul there that gets called against James White as he just blocked Marko Simonovic's path to the paint. Chris Wright with 20 points tonight. That's a EuroCup high for him. What a stage on which to do that. Now there's another whistle. That looks like Leo Candy's getting called there, is it? I think it is, yeah, for the push. These fans making so much noise, you wouldn't believe there's barely 4,500 of them in the place. It sounds like double that. Voronov. Well, another misfire. Now, how much of that can you put down to the crowd, which is just raising the roof? That's certainly what was expected from Evgeny Voronov. Didn't pan out at all. And a huge breakdown there, and Zenit have yet to add to their 71 points through the first three quarters. Only a minute and 10 seconds gone, but that'll seem like an achievement. And here's Chris Wright going again, and Chris Wright continues to keep Reggio Emilia on course for a place in the EuroCup semi-finals. He has had the night of his EuroCup career. A guy who barely played in the regular season, but he single-handedly is sparking this revival here. And Vasily Karasev says, okay, that's enough of that. Well, Chris Wright knows all about the passion of an Italian crowd. He played down the road at Fiat Turin last season. And he joined here, one of those three signings, along with James White and Pedro Yompart, that just came in and just bolstered this young roster. There's the fouls, James White and Pedro Yompart on 4, as is Evgeny Valiev. So one or two of these players may not see an awful lot more action. James White would be a huge blow if he was to go. But at the moment, having been comprehensively outscored in that third quarter, suddenly Reggio Emilia look like the team that has got themselves back on track, and it's Zenit that are making the unforced errors. but still a long, long way to go. You just get the feeling there may be one or two more lead changes before this one is done. Harper to Simonovic. Simonovic to Gordon, back to Kuric, who finds Harper, and then they try and make their move. Clock ticking. Harper will have to try and do it all on his own. Sends it back to Simonovic for a big three. Once again, they've picked up the offensive rebound. Kuric getting it back. Voronov goes low. Gordon in the paint. Turns and spins. Chandy was there, or rather, Chervi was there blocking him. And the whistle goes against the big Italian. But again, it's the offensive rebounding for Zenit that is creating all these opportunities for them. That's another one. And now Chervi in trouble as well, as Gordon goes to the line. This is a game for strong nerves. And who'd be a coach? All you can do is prowl up and down on that sideline. The second one's missed. They finally managed to pick up a rebound through Julian Wright. 4-point game. Chris Wright with possession. Wright will pick up another foul, though, or rather another foul against him. Take your pick there. Was that Kuric? Was it Harper? Everybody closed in on him. They can't stop him by fair means. They'll have to try and foul him. Well, that may well be Harper as he takes a seat. And Wright. The game's top scorer with 23. Has picked up 6 rebounds and a couple of assists as well. He's had a night. Well, everyone's always talked about the energy and the enthusiasm and the spark that Chris Wright provides. Well, he's provided the offensive output to go with it as well tonight. Reggio Emilia will always average around 75, 76. They've already put 77 up with nearly 8 minutes to play here. Griffin. Once again, the rebound is picked up by Zenit. That was Drew Gordon. It's these rebounds that are keeping Zenit in this one at the moment, trailing by 3. Leo Candy. Markoishvili, he loves this range. That's what he does. Manukar Markoishvili from the wing. You thought that was trouble the moment they set that up. And speaking of trouble, Marko Simonovic can cause a bit of trouble as well. An instant response there from Zenit. And it was their former Crvena Zvezda man with the bank shot. And the whistle as well. All right, really couldn't do anything else there. Well, Marko Simonovic showing a really impressive change of gear there as he just drove in up the board. Give him the and one as well. The chatting continues from Julian Wright. And Simonovic. Tax on the extras. So Zenit staying right in Reggio Emilia's slipstream. Candy eventually picking that one up. Here is Wright, back to the youngster. Markoishvili making himself available. Gordon trying to just hustle him out of it. And then that's Chervi, but he's blocked by Malcolm Griffin. And Griffin is in a bit of trouble. Remember, he got an unsportsmanlike in the first half as well. Well, they'll just take another look at this. Just to satisfy themselves. This incredibly loud crowd making their opinions heard emphatically. So they'll be checking all the angles. the officiating crew, just to make sure they've got this called right. Let's take another look at it. There's Chris Wright. Such a nuisance. Just unplayable at the moment. Markoishvili likewise coming up with a massive 3 in the context of the game. And then Malcolm Griffin feeling the heat. This is the man of the moment. Chris Wright, who only played 3 games in the regular season. Well, you can hear the call. Let's have another look at it. Well, there is Julian Wright, and that is Griffin just driving in on Chervy with absolutely no chance of making the play. So the big fella, he picked up 8 points, was very efficient in game 1 against Zenit. Has shown some efficiency once again there. And Reggio Emilia will have a 5-point lead. Well, that's a massive one from Kuric. Only Gordon's on the floor. Kuric has missed badly. Everybody's looking around Markoishvili as if to say, come on, there can't possibly be a foul there. That was so ambitious as well from Karl Kuric. It's an indication of just how he's been struggling. He's had so few shots, and he put an awful lot of air under that one. Didn't miss by an awful lot. But now it's Manu Markoishvili who's treading a very, very fine line. It's another one of those calls that has been greeted with some disdain in northern Italy. And at the end of all that, Karl Kuric can go to work from the line. One-time Gran Canaria man, where he was very popular, made a lot of good friendships in the Canary Isles, did Karl Kuric. Misses the second. He still can't believe the call went against him. And this is where Reggio Emilia are going to have to be alert as well. If this does spring out, and they get the rebound, but it doesn't. So Zenit staying close. Chris Wright, having had his breather, will come in for Markoishvili. If there's one man you don't want to lose right now, it's Chris Wright. He's only on 2 fouls. 23 points, 6 rebounds. Della Valle, as ever, with a crowd around him, can't deliver. Chervy tries to recycle that, but it goes straight to Griffin, and Griffin will just drop it in, and there was nothing defensively Chris Wright could do about that. And suddenly Zenit are breathing down home necks here. They pull to within 1. Another great bit of defensive work on Della Valle there, created that opportunity. Here's Julian Wright, who's closed down and then finds the big fella, goes low, and Ricardo Chervy takes what's available. They all left him alone. Less than 6 to play. Sweaty palms all over this arena. In the stands, among the coaching staff, we've got another guy that's hit the deck. Kuric is on the floor, but the call goes against the visitors. It really has been that kind of game, hasn't it? That's been so intense. Very physical, very chippy. Well, let's see what we can see here. Well, Simonovic dueling with Wright there, and then Kuric ends up getting the call against him. So now he's in trouble. It'll be a miracle if everybody is still there at the end of this game. That's not going to work. Simonovic will collect that, sends it out to Griffin. Griffin with 5.5 to play, looking to do something about this 3-point deficit. Leaves White, but then it's turned over. Della Valle for 3. That drops brilliantly. Reggio Emilia opening up some daylight again. That's Della Valle time right there. And a timeout called by Vasily Karasev as this threatens to get ugly. Reggio Emilia, who are known for their defense, are finding some offense when they need it. They lead this 87-81. And the clock is ticking. Well, they've shown what they can do before. But the man who's piled up the points for them tonight, Evgeny Voronov, has been very quiet recently. And Vasily Karasev, remember working without his son Sergei Karasev, who got that injury and just isn't going to go tonight. That's a huge blow. Kyle Kuric has once again had 9 field goal attempts and converted just 1 of them, just as he did in game 1 here last week. He's also in foul trouble. There was Griffin losing out to Chris Wright, who's just had a stunning all-round game tonight. And the job finished off by Della Valle, but Wright just keeps padding his stats. 3 steals, 3 assists, half a dozen rebounds, all those points, 23 in total. If Reggio Emilia win this game, and that is still a huge if, no question who their MVP of the game is going to be. Now Simonovic just about keeps control of that, and that could be trouble for Julian Wright. Or is it Candy? Who've they got? Who've they called? Well, Wright's on 4, so if it's him, the youngster looking around. I mean, what a situation for him. How fast is he learning? Whatever. Simonovic goes to the line. Every miss cheered to the rafters. The call does go against the youngster. So Wright is still in the game. Candy moves to 3 fouls. Simonovic did not pick a good time to miss his first free throw of the night. Don't bet on him missing 2 in a row. They pull to within 5. 5 minutes left. That's an eternity. Chris Wright finds Julian Wright. Wright goes high. That's the right stuff for Reggio Emilia right there. Right to right. And the home side up by 7. Reynolds. Voronov. He's overdue. Guarded by Wright. Then tries the drive past Chervy. And yeah, beautiful layup there from Evgeny Voronov. So that's now a career high for him in the EuroCup. That'll take him to 23 points, beating the 22 in the last game. What an offensive output from Evgeny Voronov these last 2 games. That was never online from Julian Wright. And just like that, Zenit can bring this away. Reynolds to Simonovic. They've picked up another rebound. Whittington, Kuric, and Kuric has made them pay. Yet again, an offensive rebound has been converted into points for Zenit. And they're within 2 with 4 minutes to go. Della Valle, guarded by Voronov, has to take it back. Nothing seemingly open for him. Now he's running into Simonovic. Where's he going to go? And eventually, there is a foul. Simonovic was sticking to him, but the quickness of the young Italian was just too much in the end. James White replaces Julian Wright, who has been in the thick of battle tonight. 16 points and 4 rebounds. All of his work seemingly done where it's tough, heavy going in the paint. Here's Leo Candy. There's a whistle there. And that's Voronov once again on Della Valle, who does draw an awful lot of fouls. Voronov not happy about it. He's arguing his case. There's a lot of mutual respect there. 6 out of 7 from right here. Just about gets number 7. Reggio Emilia up to 90 points. Well, it wouldn't be a massive shock if you saw Zenit break 100, but Reggio Emilia getting 100. You just wouldn't think in an offensive shootout that's their game. Kuric. Markoishvili trying to block him off. Kuric can't get it. Whittington, offensive rebound once again. Whistle comes in. That looked like it was Ricardo Cervi getting called. Indeed it was, and if that is Ricardo Cervi, and I believe it is, the big fella can say goodnight. But once again, their Achilles heel, yeah, there's confirmation, but they're protecting their own rim has really been a problem. And Vasily Karasev's side have taken advantage on Whittington. He's also 6 out of 7. Now 6 out of 8. And an astonishing 13 offensive rebounds they've won tonight. Reggio Emilia have won 8. But when they work out the stats for this game, how many points did Zenit score off those offensive rebounds? And if they win this game, how significant will that total be? Here's Chris Wright going for another one of those jumpers, rattles in and out, and then finished off. Great bit of hustle there from Julian Wright. Still 3 minutes to play here. Reggio Emilia up by 5. Whittington back to Reynolds. Simonovic just gets there ahead of Wright, and then there's a breakdown and a turnover, and Markoishvili will pick it up as suddenly it turned into a bar of soap for Marko Simonovic. And if they lose this game, never mind the offensive rebounds, if they lose this game, how expensive will those turnovers be? Wright looks for the banker that doesn't drop. Kuric will collect. Reynolds, that was ambitious. Kuric looking to get in there, and if that goes against Markoishvili, I'm not sure it will. That might have been James White that got called out. Yes, James White. Well, the fouls are starting to pile up because both White and Markoishvili were on 4. So they are losing bodies here. James White, his evening ends. More significantly, back up to the line. Scotty Reynolds trudges off. Maybe his work for the night is done. Maybe there's overtime, who knows? Kuric, who's also been treading the line in terms of fouls. He's been on 4 for a while. So 2 down for Grissin Bon Reggio Emilia. 2.5 to play. Markoishvili. Candy. Reggio Emilia up by 3. Della Valle waits to see what comes open. They're doing a great job of guarding Chris Wright here, so Della Valle still has to take it on his own and will go for a jumper. Brilliant! A stunner there for the EuroCup's leading scorer, Della Valle. Suddenly Reggio Emilia have some breathing room again. Kuric, he's another really good three-point shooter himself. What can he deliver? Well, they'll give him 2 right there, but there was also a whistle, so Kuric with a very quick response for the home side, or for the visitors rather, and the home side's brief breather. And they had that 6-point lead with 2 to play. That's in danger of being cut in half right here. Wright and Candy and the Jompart are all on 4 fouls for the home side. So's Evgeny Valiev, who's just checked in here. Here's Kuric looking for point number 15, which drops. So the lead halved just like that. Reggio Emilia still with a lot of work to do. Candy pivots, spins, gets it back to Julian Wright. Della Valle. Markoishvili and Chris Wright are available. Chris Wright's got himself in the corner, so he'll have to go for a huge one himself. That doesn't drop. Julian Wright couldn't pick it up. Malcolm Griffin can bring this away. And there is another breakdown between Griffin and DeMonte Harper. Just when it looked like Zenit were building up a head of steam again. By a matter of millimeters, those two not on the same page. Leo Candy looking to come back in. Della Valle hearing about it from Massimiliano Minetti, who is living and breathing every play. Evgeny Valiev got himself in early foul trouble, but they can get some big bodies out there that can exploit some of these matchups in the paint. This may yet fall in Zenit's favor. Still plenty of time left for one of these two teams to grab this one. Chris Wright gets it back to Julian Wright. Wright tries to drive his way through there. And Valiev, I think it is, who's looking up and saying, are you giving that one to me? As if they are, he's gone. No, it's not. Every single point here of huge significance. Ooh, goodness, that was not a thing of beauty. Voronov will collect that. Zenit trailing by 4, just over a minute remaining. Griffin looking to drive his way in. Blocked. Brilliant rejection from Julian Wright. Markoishvili will pick it up as well. And right at the other end, and he's missed it. That would have brought the roof down if that had dropped. How close was that? Julian Wright doing the job at one end. Almost had a highlight reel slam to get the job finished. And now it's just a case of stay cool. Everybody's got to try and just stay cool in this superheated environment. 63 seconds left. Reggio Emilia leading Zenit by 4. Reynolds, Voronov, Whittington, Kuric. Getting it back to Reynolds. They're doing a great job of keeping him at bay at the moment. And Kuric will go for an ambitious one that doesn't drop. That is signature Reggio Emilia defense right there. What a time to make a defensive stand. Nowhere for Zenit to go. And if Reggio Emilia can convert this possession into points, which they do with Julian Wright, that might be the play that sends Reggio Emilia to the EuroCup semi-finals. And it was the right stuff again, the alley-oop. And this is such a good response from Reggio Emilia, who were in such trouble in that third quarter. They rallied so well, and they've really bit down hard in this fourth quarter. You wouldn't expect, on the balance of play, Reggio Emilia to be winning a shootout with Zenit, but that is what looks like it's going to happen. And having had so many problems with their long-range shooting throughout the course of this series, Amedeo Della Valle has come up with not one but 2 big triples. And the worst enemy for Zenit St Petersburg right now, the game clock. They're running out of time. They are in hostile territory, and these fans know they could be about to witness, for the first time ever, a EuroCup semi-final. You'd have got long odds on that when they were 3-5 in the regular season, and they had to win their last 2 to be assured of their place in the round of 16. But here they are, threatening to fly the flag for Italy, up by 6. Less than 30 seconds to play. Zenit surely need a triple here, which would change the dynamic again. Voronov, Kuric. That's who you want to have it. Kuric will drive his way in and go for the layup. Take the easy 2. 22 seconds remain, and they've got to press high here, which they do. Voronov will get the whistle against him. Fourth foul for Evgeny Voronov. And it does look like his 23 points, a EuroCup career high, is going to be in vain. Astonishingly, Reggio Emilia, not known for being big scorers, have just cracked the 100 mark. And fittingly, it's Chris Wright that delivers the free throw that brings up 100. Point number 24 for Chris Wright. It's a 5-point lead. This for 6. They are on the threshold of a place in the semi-finals, but Zenit haven't given up yet. Kuric will go for the throwdown. They're still alive. Andy trying to get past Simonovic. And a foul, of course. Foul number 4 against Simonovic. They need a quick turnover here, Zenit. And if young Leo Candy can just hold his nerve here, that should be that. Well, Zenit's only chance now. Quick strike, quick turnover, and quick strike again. Not impossible, but my goodness me, you get long odds against it. Leo Candy has done his job. It's a 6-point lead. They've got to nail a triple here, and quickly. Well, they'll get the easy one from Whittington. And then Reynolds now has to foul. And I think that is it. Zenit, 99 points. They're going to be on the losing end of this one. Would you believe it? If you'd have said to Vasily Karasev at the start of this game, you'll get 99 points, he would have assumed the place in the semi-finals would have been Zenit's. Instead, it's Reggio Emilia, who have found so much offense. Chris Wright, 25 points. Julian Wright, 21 points. Della Valle, he gets 20 points as well. And the party can start. Kuric will go for 3. And that'll do it. That's it. What a stunning performance from Reggio Emilia. For the first time in their history, the Italians are through to the EuroCup semi-finals. Lokomotiv Kuban Krasnodar await. But Reggio Emilia have shown tonight that they're more than just a tough defense. They got a bit of offense when they need it as well. Disappointment for Vasily Karasev. And there must be thoughts of what might have been if Sergei Karasev had been able to go tonight, but he couldn't, he didn't. And even though Zenit had their moments here, and particularly in that third quarter, Reggio Emilia produced a terrific all-round game. And they've ended up winning this one and booking their place in the semi-finals of the EuroCup. The final score, Grissin Bon Reggio Emilia 105, Zenit St Petersburg 99. So many stars in this game. 3 players over 20 points. And a really solid all-round team effort. Nobody's thinking Lokomotiv just yet. But Lokomotiv unbeaten so far in this EuroCup. But the way this crowd played their part as well, Lokomotiv will certainly have to bring their A game if they want to get a victory here. Bayern Munich also through as well after their 91-81 win against Unix Kazan. It's a bad night for Russian basketball. The Final Four, Darüşşafaka and Bayern Munich will go head-to-head. Lokomotiv and Grissin Bon Reggio Emilia will face each other in the other semi-final. A very special moment for Massimiliano Minetti, who 20 years in and out of this system he's been. The man who was on the coaching staff when they reached the quarterfinals in 2006. The man who led them to the 2015 Italian Super Cup has now taken his side to the semi-finals of the EuroCup. Amedeo Della Valle showed that there's plenty of steel about him as well. Leading the cheers as well. Well, they tried to get physical with Amedeo Della Valle, didn't they? They tried to knock him out of his game, and they've done a really good job of containing him, particularly in game 2 when he was restricted to just 7 points. But Amedeo Della Valle just brushed himself down time and time again tonight. Went to the line 11 times, converted 10 of those, ended up with 20 points. And a valuable support behind Julian Wright, who's 21 points. Mostly was scored in the paint, and Chris Wright, who was absolutely dazzling tonight with his 25 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals. If you have to pick an MVP from a team effort like this, it's got to be the Reggio Emilia number 12, Chris Wright, who's put up some stunning numbers tonight. But every one of these players has been a huge contributor to what is a historic night for Grissin Bon Reggio Emilia.
It was important, it was emotional, it was a war, but in the end you win that war, you won that war, and that's what you wanted, coach.
We play a war 105 to 99 is exactly the opposite of what we expect out of our game, of this game. But we play with so proud, with so full of heart. We deserve that semi-final. It's something incredible, amazing. So we deserve everything. We want to just enjoy this incredible night.
Coach, in the third quarter, we never imagined to see that score. But what we see right now is the 4th time score, and that's what matters.
We never give up. We was maybe to the end of, at the beginning of the third quarter, we feel the pressure, but we come back in the game. And I say to my guys that in this game, or they beat us by 20, or we have to win, and we win.
Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
He can be extremely happy with the job he's done with this team. Massimiliano Minetti looked absolutely emotionally drained. And the bars in Reggio Emilia are going to stay open long into the night tonight. And why not? And the drinks will be on the Grissin Bon Reggio Emilia players and coaches. They have won a stunning Game 3 in this EuroCup quarterfinal. They've done it the hard way. They've done it the unexpected way as well. A team that based its game on defense has piled up 105 points. Heroes wherever you look. A night of smiles, a night of joy in northern Italy. The final score once again, Grissin Bon Reggio Emilia 105, Zenit St Petersburg 99. It's the Italians who will move on to the EuroCup semi-finals. Well, before we go, let's just remind ourselves of some of the highlights. So many players making big contributions. Number 12, Chris Wright, in the thick of all of it, of course. The offensive rebounding from Marko Simonovic there, helping Zenit stay in it. But Chris Wright wasn't left alone very often. When he was, he punished him. And a wonderful little reverse layup there as well. Malcolm Griffin, certainly kept the wheels spinning for Zenit. And when Evgeny Voronov made that steal there, Zenit were threatening to run away with the game. It looked like it potentially could have been a defining play, but no. Grissin Bon Reggio Emilia came back so strongly, and amazingly won what ended up as a shootout. Julian Wright, what a night he had. Tried to knock him out of this game. And there he is saying, Zenit St Petersburg, your time's up. That's the story of the night. And it's going to take something to get these fans out of this arena. There's the numbers once again. They finally got a bit of three-point shooting tonight, Reggio Emilia. And too many turnovers as well for Zenit. In the final analysis, that will prove to be very costly indeed. So that'll do it. It's Locomotive next for a delighted Grissin Bon Reggio Emilia. They're through to their first ever EuroCup semi-finals. Hope you've enjoyed it. We'll see you next week for the semis. Bye-bye for now.